What's up, YouTube? So, if you've been watching my recent videos, I've been slowly going over each position group, saying which player, like going over their contracts, saying which players I would want, and everything like that. Well, now I've officially come up with my first version of what I would like the Miami Dolphins 53-man roster to look like. Now, throughout preseason, throughout training camp, these things will probably change. Unfortunately, we'll probably have some injuries. Some other players may impress me or disappoint me. We'll see. But right now, before preseason, this is my thoughts. So to quickly kind of go over this, the players whose names are in black, I have making the team. The ones that are in green, I would like to see a position battle between because I'm torn on whether I want them or not. And then the ones in red are players I would cut. So starting at quarterback, and the number next to the position is how many players at that position I want to keep. So at quarterback, I am keeping 3. Ideally, with a lot of teams, I would really only want 2 quarterbacks, but I just don't think you can afford to cut Mike White or Skylar Thompson. So, I mean, that is what that is. We're just going to have to deal with 3 quarterbacks. At running back, I do have us keeping 4. Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, and Jalen Wright, I think makes a lot of sense. But that 4th spot is a little bit tough. Jeff Wilson, I think, probably has the advantage, but Chris Brooks is younger. We have him for a little bit longer. We were actually using him to play H-back and tight end a little bit last year, so, I mean, there is that little bit of versatility. I assume Jeff Wilson probably wins that fight, but I would like to see a position battle between these two if we keep 4 running backs like I want. Like I said, this isn't necessarily what I think will happen. It's what I would like to happen. So, I couldn't decide whether I wanted Jeff Wilson or Chris Brooks, so I would like to see a position battle between the two. Fullback, we've only got one of them. Alec Ingold, very good, very important to our offense. We got to keep him. So, anyway, moving on to receiver, I think the top 5 make a lot of sense. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Odell Beckham. I think those 3 especially make sense. They're here. I think Malik Washington and Taj Washington, we just drafted them. I don't think they're going anywhere, and I don't want them to. But we can only, in my mind, keep 6 receivers. Because the thing is, I wanted 7 because I wanted at least 2 of these 3. Because I want to see Eric Izukanma, Braxton Berrios, and River Craycraft fight for that 6th spot. I wanted to be able to keep at least 2 of them, but as we're going to get to with the rest of the roster, like, I just can't make that make sense. Because we need depth everywhere. And there's a lot of players I just can't cut. I just can't. But anyway, moving on to tight end, I think this is pretty straightforward. Durham Smythe, Jonnu Smith, Julian Hill. I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm not that big on Tanner Connor or Jody Fortson, to be quite honest with you. Neither of them can really block all that well. They're mostly just receiving tight ends, so I'm not really interested in them. And I have us keeping 3 tight ends. I have us keeping 9 offensive linemen. Teron Armstead, Austin Jackson, Aaron Brewer, Isaiah Wynn, Robert Jones. Those are our 5 starters, most likely. Kendall Lamb is a really good swing tackle. Patrick Paul, who we just drafted, obviously he's not going anywhere. Liam Eichenberg can play guard, center, and tackle. Has played all of those positions, so that depth, I think, is really important. So he really can't afford to go anywhere. And then at number 9, I have either Keon Smith or Jack Driscoll. Jack Driscoll does have the advantage of being able to play guard and tackle. I've seen him do it. Keon Smith might be a better tackle than Jack Driscoll is, but I think the versatility makes it kind of interesting. So we'll see. But I have Matthew Jones, Andrew Mayer, Chasen Hines, and Barry Matos getting cut. That would be... And keep in mind, some of these guys in red I would have on the practice squad. Like, Braylon Sanders would probably be a practice squad guy. They love Savon Ahmed, so he might be. Anthony Schwartz, probably at least one of these 2 tight ends. Some of these linemen, So moving on to defense, with edge rusher, Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, obviously not going anywhere. Emmanuel Agba, I think, makes a lot of sense. We need that veteran leadership, especially if Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb might not be healthy to start the season. Chop Robinson and Mo Kamara, the two edge rushers that we drafted this year. I like their potential a lot, but we definitely need that veteran presence ahead of them. But I think these five are as good as safe. I do want a sixth edge rusher, especially because Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb do have injury concerns. Cameron Good has been here for a little while, so I'd say he probably has the advantage, but I actually really like Grayson Murphy. I really do. I think he actually has a chance, and I do want to see like a fair fight. I would give the edge to Cameron Good, and the fact that Cameron Good could probably play a little bit of linebacker for you as well, I think would help. Zeke Vandenberg is a guy that also can play edge and linebacker. I just don't think he's good enough. I just don't. He got hurt last year. That's the only reason he's even here. He wouldn't have made the team last year, but he ended up on IR. So there's that. D-line kind of hurt my heart. I was trying to... I kind of wanted Neville Gallimore and Tyre Tart to fight for a fifth spot, but I just couldn't. There's a lot of players that we're going to have to say goodbye to. It just is what it is. Also, Emmanuel Agba can play some interior D-line as well, so I think that kind of helps. But Zach Sealer, Calais Campbell, I don't think they're going anywhere. Deshaun Hand was a really good depth guy for us. Benito Jones, we're going to more of a 3-4 style scheme, so having a zero tech I think would be very important. So Benito Jones I think would have to be here. If he doesn't, then it'd be Brandon Peely, who's the other nose tackle here. Neville Gallimore does play one tech, but he shouldn't. He should be a 3 tech. That is what he was coming out of college. The Cowboys kind of ruined his career by making him gain weight and try to be something he's not. But whatever. Moving on to linebackers, I have us keeping 4. Jordan Brooks, David Long. I think those two are obvious. I also like Anthony Walker Jr. quite a bit. But after that, it gets dicey. Channing Tindall, very athletic. We drafted him a couple of years ago, but he hasn't done jack shit since he got here. So it's time for him to win that job, in my opinion. I also wanted to keep 5 linebackers, but you can't. There's only 53 spots. I have Channing Tindall, Duke Riley, and Cam Brown. Whichever of these 3 ends up performing best in preseason and camp, I would like to keep. Channing Tindall has the athleticism and the fact that we drafted him. Duke Riley has the locker room because apparently the guys in the locker room really like Duke Riley a lot. And Cam Brown's advantage is that he's a really good special teams guy. So, I don't know. It's tough. Quentin Bell, I don't want Quentin Bell, really. He's out. Moving on to corner. I guess I can show safety, too. And I might as well show special teams, because there's no battle with special teams. There should be, but there isn't. Jalen Ramsey, Kendall Fuller, obviously our 2 starting corners. Cam Smith, we just drafted last year. He ain't going anywhere. Kader Kohu, I do think we'll probably have a better year this year than last year. It's looking like we're probably going to be doing quite a bit more man coverage, which I think will suit him well. So I think him in the slot, I think he'll be fine. Nick Needham, another nickel corner that can play safety as well, which is nice. Ethan Bonner, when he had to step up for us last year, he played pretty damn well. Storm Duck, I would like to see him on the practice squad, but and again, I wanted 7 corners as well, but I just couldn't. It's tough. You're gonna have to make these types of decisions. Isaiah Johnson, I like him. He's big as hell. Jason, not as big a fan of. Javon Holland, Jordan Poyer are 2 starting safeties. Elijah Campbell, very good player as well. Anytime we've asked him to step up, he pretty much has. Apparently he's had a pretty good training camp so far too. And then for that 4th spot, I want Marcus May and Syrian Neal to kind of fight for it. Neal is a guy that plays safety and some nickel corner, which is nice. Also a special teams ace. Marcus May is kind of like your hard-hitting strong safety, which I think could be interesting. Like, we could kind of blitz him, kind of similar like we did with Brandon Jones, get some pressure that way. But I don't know. Special teams, not a lot to talk about here. Jason Sanders, he's actually a solid kicker. I know he gets a lot of hate, including from me. He frustrates me a lot at times, but unfortunately, kicker around the league is pretty whack at the moment. So he's actually like a top 10 kicker by default. So we aren't really able to replace him anytime soon. Blake Ferguson, really solid long snapper. I would have liked another punter to battle with Jake Bailey, because I don't like Jake Bailey at all. I think he was really bad last year. He was bad even before he came to the Dolphins. His first year or two with New England were really good, obviously. He had all-pro type seasons, Pro Bowl, all those types of things. But then he hurt his back, and ever since then, he has not been the same player. So I would have liked to get a different punter, or at least bring in a punter to compete with Jake Bailey, something. But I guess not. But anyway, so that's going to be it for this video. I'm just going to kind of go over the numbers. Like I said, I have 3 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, a fullback, 6 wide receivers, 3 tight ends, 9 offensive linemen, 6 edge rushers, 4 interior defensive linemen, 4 linebackers, 6 corners, 4 safeties, and 3 special teams guys. That's kind of what I'm going with. My opinion will likely change. Unfortunately, some of these guys are bound to get injured as well. It's just a reality of sports and life. And some players will play better than I'm expecting. Some players will play worse than I expected. So we'll see. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video. If you liked it, I'd appreciate you hitting that like button. If you have any questions or comments in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.